Welcome to ITV Gold. I am Pia Jyoti Kachru, and today on Face to Face, I have with me that's Dr. Sheil Shukla, an internal medicine physician and food artist who is passionate about the intersection of food, art, and medicine. And he loves exploring cultures through their food, and his primary experience is with South Asian foods. And his culinary creations have garnered the support of over 60,000 followers on Instagram. He is also a contributor for Best of Vegan, a digital culinary publication dedicated to veganism and plant-based cuisine. And he has been featured by Forks Over Knives, Veg News, Thrive Magazine, Food 52, Williams Sonoma, and more. He's the author of recently released book Plant-Based India. So let me welcome Dr. Sheil to ITV Gold. Tell me, Dr. Sheil, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share my book with you, Plant-Based India. It just came out last week, actually. So thank you for having me.
You know what? I just love the cover of it, even though I haven't, seen inside yet any of the recipes, but I saw it online and the cover looks beautiful. And I'm sure, as well as the recipes will be like amazing. So tell me, is this your first book, and why did you decide to write Plant-Based India Cookbook?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your kind words. And I decided to write the book because I wanted to document my family's recipes. So a lot of the recipes in the book are written or designed by my mother, my grandmother, things that I grew up eating. And I wanted to share those recipes with others. And I also wanted to share recipes that I came up with on my own, as well as recipes that have been revamped from a health standpoint. So recipes that are lower in saturated fats and more nutritious than some more traditional dishes are.
That's what I was going to ask you. As an internist, do you believe in like some basic principles of food philosophy?
Yeah, I would say basic principles are of an inclusive diet. And what I mean by that is focusing on what to include in the diet as well, instead of focusing on what to exclude. So things to include, meaning vegetables, fruits, whole grains, spices. We know that all of these things are good for our long-term health. And I like to focus on increasing as much of that as possible.
So tell me, Dr. Shiel, while you were writing the book, did you have any challenge, and what was the biggest challenge you had?
Sure. I think the biggest challenge was just juggling so many other things at the same time. So, of course, the ongoing pandemic, working in the hospital during that time. My wife and I had a baby during that time as well, when we wrote the cookbook as well. So lots of other things just going on at once was kind of the biggest challenge. But the book itself was a big motivator for me. It was a creative outlet and something that I was able to do to kind of escape some of the realities and really focus my energy on something creative that I would be able to share with everyone.
So, I was just wondering, Dr. Shiel, that, how do you come up with your recipe list? Like, do you create a contents page and then think, oh, I need to come up with recipes for main sides, extra, or do you have recipes in mind and you're looking for a structure that makes sense to organize them?
Sure. I think the easy structure of the book recipes was just a structure of a thali. So we know that a traditional thali has some sort of flatbread, rice dish, a vegetable dish, etc. So that was really how I formatted the book, and each chapter is essentially one component of those. And then from there, I kind of went and some of them were family recipes, some of them were things that I developed on my own, and things really just grew from that basic structure.
So I think, one thing that's easy to take for granted definitely is the amount of time it takes to test recipes for a cookbook. So take us through your process in developing recipes, and what steps do you go through? Is it complicated to do all this?
It was a long process, absolutely. So I think for me, my process involved testing a recipe on my own about 2 to 3 times at least. And then I was lucky to have a group of recipe testers, people across the United States as well as across the world, who tested recipes in their own homes. So it was important for me to have these recipes translate to numerous different types of kitchens, numerous levels of experience with home cooks. And then I went back, I reviewed all of their comments, and then sometimes I tested even further. So each recipe in the book went through numerous rounds of testing before getting in the final book.
So tell me, is it like complicated, especially with the different kinds of appliances? Like on a recipe book, you have written like it takes 27 minutes to make this kind of food. So is it like different when you are writing something? Do you have to make sure, no, it just takes 20 minutes only, or how does it work?
I will say the time in pretty much any book is going to be an estimate. So it's an estimate because some cooks might take longer time, some cooks might take not as much time to do certain steps. So what I wanted to provide was just a general average time. There are plenty of cookbooks that don't include a time at all. And I think just to have a general idea of how long it would take, it can be helpful for some people. So that's why I included just an estimate time for the recipes.
So tell me, you have this new book, brand new book out. So tell me, where are you selling this book? And for all our ITV Gold viewers.
Absolutely. So the book itself, which I have here, so it is available pretty much wherever books are sold. So any retailers online or bookstores, local bookstores, online retailers, booksellers online, such as Amazon, pretty much any online bookstore will sell it too.
And I also want to ask you, you have any tips for aspiring cookbook authors? You want to say something out to them who is they're just starting out?
Sure. The first thing I would say is just have fun with it. It should be something enjoyable. And as long as you put all of your energy and excitement into the project, it will be something worth sharing with others. And I think just don't lose that passion, because that will drive you to continue forward.
And one interesting question I want to ask you is what's your favorite and your least favorite dish?
Oh, sure. So I think one of my favorite dishes, I love every recipe in the book, but one recipe I wanted to highlight here was shahi gobi. So it's a traditional sort of gravy dish, North Indian style, with rich nuts and saffron and cardamom and beautiful spices, rich, lots of different textures as well. That's definitely one of my favorite dishes in the book. When it comes to dishes I am not the biggest fan of, I would say one Indian vegetable is karela or karela. I'm not the biggest fan of that.
So the recipes in your book are whatever you have in your everyday, in the kitchen, you already have those spices. You don't have to just go out to get something, extra fancy. Is that what it is?
Yeah, pretty much anything that would be in a standard Indian pantry. Those ingredients are used in this book. The only thing that you might need to go out for is fresh curry leaves. That can be a little bit more difficult to find, just regularly in the pantry. But you can always omit them if you don't have them.
All right. You want to say anything else about your book?
Yes, well, I would love to say that it's a plant-based Indian cookbook, which means there's no dairy products, no animal products whatsoever. And it really highlights the freshness of traditional Indian cuisine and a lot of the health benefits of these foods as well. So the fruits, the whole grains, the vegetables, the spices. We know that these are all ingredients that are protective against developing cardiovascular disease, heart disease. And I really want to highlight those foods in this book and align it with our traditional cultural values as well.
So, since you are an internist, Dr. Shiel, I just want you to give our ITV Gold viewers one tip, especially this is summertime and we have been having really, heat wave. So one tip, what should they be doing and what should they be eating to keep themselves cool?
Sure. Again, this kind of goes back to is eating as much fresh fruits and vegetables as you can. Those ingredients have plenty of fiber, plenty of nutrients, and water in them as well. So in addition to those fresh ingredients, also staying hydrated, drinking plenty of water throughout the day. Those are all great ways to combat the heat that we're experiencing.
And my last question to you is, what is next project for Dr. Shiel?
Sure. Next project is just continuing to work on the book promotion and celebrating the book itself, continuing to work on recipes and my website and my Instagram, and of course, building my practice as an internal medicine physician.
So, and for one more time for ITV Gold viewers, you can just tell them where can they get the book from?
Absolutely. Well, first you can find me on Instagram. Plant-based artist is my handle there. My website is my name, sheilshukla.com. And my book, Plant-Based India, is available wherever books are sold, online, at bookstores, local bookstores, pretty much wherever books are sold.
Thank you so much. And I want to wish you all the best. And definitely, you know, I have already gotten this book and I am going to be trying out every recipe, you know, every day because it looks very good. All the recipes look like very, you know, tempting. So I definitely will do that.
Thank you again. Thank you so much for having me.